learned to an election. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a little, but I still reinvest it. Fear how I feel, then you feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it down, we gon' get it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got your watch list coming in on May 18th, 2020, and the stock market is going to go crazy. Actually, here in about an hour from when I'm shooting this video, but by the time it comes out, we are going to have a special with Jerome Powell on 60 Minutes. Now, this is pretty rare. Last time we saw this was in June 2019, so where it's setting us up from is going to be important. I know the stock market's going to be crazy. If anything, I'm thinking it's going to look a lot like last week, where it wasn't too crazy in the beginning, then really picked up towards the end of the week and then kind of leveled off. I mean, if you saw even the 7-day chart right here, you could see we pretty much were unchanged in the last 7 days, but here was for Monday. You know, we went down a little bit from the week, but Friday to Friday, pretty interesting comparison. But by the time the market opens tomorrow, there's going to be a lot that we will be reacting to with Powell, so I'm going to go over that. But then you're also going to see a lot of Powell this week, so that could drive some of the market moves. So I have that. I want to go over the plays that we made. We actually made some plays after hours on Friday. I want to go over those plays, talk about the plays that we're in, how we're going to set up, and then also the plays I'm going to be looking at for tomorrow. So pretty simple, but a lot of important stuff we need to look at. So let's get right into it. You guys know what you need to do. Drop your thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open. It's the first link in the description, and it is pinned in the comments. We better see you there in the morning. It's free 99. It costs you nothing to join. YouTube.com/thestockmarket. You can post the plays, ask questions, see the plays, anything. Just show some love, baby. And the most important thing you need to do, post your watch list below. Let us know what you're looking at. You got any plays, comments, remixes? What are you looking at tomorrow, this week? Post it below. Remember, we still got some earnings. But right off the bat, to get right into it, the main keys we need to talk about is Powell. So he has a speech tonight with, I think, ABC 60 Minutes tonight. It's already been done. They've already talked about some of the main stuff, and there is a few key points of what he is going to discuss. People want to know about negative interest rates. People want to know about when the economy is going to recover, what they believe, but more so how the Fed is going to respond. But now, not only is there going to be that, and that's what pretty much what I'm expecting, is that whatever he says, the market is going to take that coming into the morning, but then there's going to be a lot of other events throughout the week that could kind of push and pull everything. But depending on the level of information he reveals, that will be important. Again, the history behind this, with how many times we've seen the Fed speak publicly like this. Again, they usually do not have the Fed chair make speeches like this because the Fed chair has the ability to dictate the market so much. Now, some people would say that is manipulation. However, do not forget the fact that the Fed's job, literally why they even created it, was to prevent financial panic. So what Powell is going to say here is going to be important. But now, throughout the week on Tuesday, Senate Banking Committee. So then not only is he going to have to say something at this interview, and then the market could take that however they please, but now on Tuesday, Powell is going to be coming in and he is going to be answering questions before Congress. And now this is where they're going to grill him, and I believe they're going to discuss and ask him about the actions that he took, from everything from the both emergency rate cuts to the primary credit dealer facility, all that. So it's interesting timing that you're going to get the banking committee aligning at a time when he just made some of these actions recently, and we could kind of hear the logic behind it or the reasoning why. So there's that. And then on Friday now, this is what fueled our plays. They already did a financial assessment review or something along those lines, but even Powell said stuff that the banks may not have as much capital. This is literally what we talked about on the Friday watch list, but he said a lot of stuff. So that's what fueled the plays. But pretty much Powell, since like Wednesday, has been saying a lot. Remember him, and then there was Brainerd or Clarita, and they were saying some stuff. Again, they've been saying a lot this week, and that could be a reason why we saw the effects we did. But what Powell is going to say is going to be important then moving forward. But now, even to the history of this, last time, I mean, only time you've seen the Fed chair do these 60 minutes interviews last time was June 2019. So literally right here, imagine in June, this was the trade war stuff where we're covering off of the repo stuff, but right before, and again, this was your TLT play, but pretty much the market was coming off of a low in May, bouncing back up, then Powell came on here. We had a little bit of good, and then it bounced, and then kind of did what it did here. So he might add stability, but then now the last time before Powell, only time you really seen a Fed chair use this platform was Ben Bernanke and through the Great Recession, the real estate bubble. So this is going to be serious, and at the very least, you're going to have a lot of eyes looking at this today. And even then now, a lot of people don't know what to expect. Some people really don't know. Is Powell going to talk? And now these are things that can move the market. Is he going to talk about buying stocks? What assets are they going to look to buy? Is everything they did enough? What is he going to say about negative interest rates? All of that stuff, every single one of those questions is in the air because people don't even know what is in the real realm of possibility. And then people want to see, well, what is the outlook of the Fed? One, will they go negative? But now, are they expecting a recovery end of 2020, end of 2021? What if it goes beyond that? And now these are all going to be questions we're going to need to answer and will affect valuations even now too. What he says about even a vaccine, and that is going to even drive some of these biotech stocks. So watch out for that. But beyond that, though, you guys know what else you need to watch for. We've talked about this, but watch for the negative interest rate guidance. So again, he said no negative interest rates. We're going to see what he says today, but the market is looking at that, and that will be a very, very good indicator, one, as far as bonds, and then mixed in with the information he gives. But regardless of what he says, you want to look at what the market responds to with pricing. But that being said, now on the other side of the coin, you should really listen for what Powell says about what it would take to be a recovery. And now you could get tinfoil, you could get whatever you want, you could choose to ignore him. It doesn't matter. But what I'm going to be looking at is that he is going to give guidance. Fed credibility is of utmost importance right now. That's the whole thing I'm talking about. When you see Powell say something and then the market prices it something different with the Fed futures, that is literal visualization of Fed credibility. And really what I'm banking on is that he wants to use this opportunity to get as much credibility as possible. So I really think he is not going to say too much of groundbreaking information, but I think he's going to give pretty clear guidance. And that's the best thing he could do right now, is that if they could get the markets kind of believing that what they're going to do what they say they're going to do, that could be good, but we will be watching. However, at the end of the day, whatever gets said from here, doesn't matter what level, in any context, you can reasonably assume it as some level of guidance. So that's what I'm going to be looking out for. And then lastly, the last piece of news that's going to be definitely have its effect, but again, I think the Fed is probably going to take more weight this week in financial conditions and all that, but the China tensions, they are still in play. So we saw that last week, but it hasn't reached a price changing point. It hasn't reached the tipping point where groundbreaking news on it has came out or something fundamentally big has came out. Even though there's been pieces of news like the pension and all that, you're seeing the markets haven't really priced anything too crazy yet. So wait to see if there's any escalation from that. But a lot of people are kind of expecting this China stuff. So the question is, how does it play out? And then what do we actually see? So I'm going to be watching out for that. But that is pretty much it. Keep a close eye on Powell. And if anything else develops, again, we still have a lot of different pieces of news, which I'm going to talk about with the plays. But individual companies, you have stuff coming on with Tesla. You got that Uber Grubhub deal. You're seeing a lot of these bankruptcies. So we want to keep our eye out for that, and then all these industries, and then just see really what the laggers and leaders are. But at the very least this week, we have key pieces of information to be looking at. But if anything, this week will be the setup towards the next Fed meeting or the one after that. So if you remember the last TLT and even kind of where everything, just the timing of this, a lot of this is reflecting 2008 TLT, where the bonds are doing its thing. You're running into some trouble before the end of the quarter, but they kind of have bought themselves time with the market not going too crazy. So we will watch, but that is pretty much it. So let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, I want to go over the plays that I made on Friday again. So the first one was XLF, but then the three companies I'm going to be looking at, I like Booking. Again, I said this last week. I have not found my opportunity to buy it because it's expensive, but I just like this for a swing trade in any of these trades. And that's one thing I should make clear here. A lot of the trades we're going to be moving here, I'm aiming for this end of the year. Again, depending on what Powell says, and this is what I'm saying, the importance of guidance, the key is to get time. So if you probably noticed this week, a lot of May 15th expirations. If you control the balance, you know what I'm talking about. Even if you didn't, you know what I'm talking about. A lot of contracts got cleared out today. So now you have to really evaluate, because, we took a big loss. We made a lot of profit. We gave a lot of profit back. But depending on how you balance the budget, the question is now, do you still have open plays? So the June, July's, anything with time, it's helped us out a lot. So that being said, a lot of the plays I want are going to be swings. So for that, I'm going to be looking at Booking. Don't forget earnings. You're going to have HD and NVIDIA. We're already in the HDs. I'm going to be considering NVIDIA if we could do it. And then lastly, that Uber Grubhub deal, that could be another one. But if the talks fizzle out this week, then we could be chasing a lot of that, and then it might not work there. Oh, and then another one I'd say is watch Beyond, because remember, we had those contracts, they expired, but after the earnings and where they're at a pretty decent spot. So keep your eye out for there. But now the first play that we made over the weekend was XLF. So I did 3 different plays, and you could even see here's something very unique. You can see I executed those at 105. So this was 5 minutes after market close. So why did I do this? Because literally at market close, that Fed review came out, and then all of a sudden, all these comments kept coming out that Powell was saying that the banks might have liquidity concerns and that the reserves may not be enough and that they're not as well capitalized as we initially thought. So that was literally what I was expecting to come out. And then it finally came out. And remember, I didn't get that Wells Fargo or any of the bank puts, but you could trade certain indexes and ETFs 15 minutes after close. So I took that advantage. But even what happened here, I didn't mean to make this trade. I fat fingered it. So I was going for 5 cents. You could see I ended up getting the July puts, but I got these 16.5s. It just glitched on me. I didn't know it was May 29th. So this one, I've made 29th. I got 100 of the 16.5 puts. These ones I'm going to look to flip out as soon as possible. But then the other 2 plays I got September 15 puts. I grabbed 10 of them at 50 cents each. Spent $500 there, and then I spent another $500 on the 11 puts for July. So I want more time. That's why I got September's and then July. Then this one was the fat finger. We're going to do that. But my idea was I wanted to play those bank stocks. The market was closed, so I wasn't able to get those. So there was that. And then on Friday, or I think it was the day before, I don't know if we went over this, but I did get Caterpillar. I got 5 of the August 21st 50 puts. And then the day before that, we were getting the Babas and the JDs as we were building that position. But that was the first play that I made. I think those are pretty much it. Yeah, I'm trying to think. As far as everything else, I'm going to be setting up for those bookings. I'm still holding those HDs, so you guys could see here too. And you could even see our balance. After all the expirations, we're at 59. Now we're down to 56, so it wiped out an extra 2.5 G's off of just random plays that only showed value because of the spread. So if you're confused on that, that's why I always watch the cash balance, not necessarily what your account value's at, but where are those HDs? So yeah, we still have those. Those are up 200% coming into earnings. So depending, I think they report Tuesday. I'm either going to trim these or I'm going to try to protect it with puts, but we're going to have to see. And again, that's even something I'm keeping in mind here because depending on how this market plays out, Powell could calm the markets down for like another month here. Then a lot of these moves, I think we're just going to stay in a range. So I think certain moves, they're going to be profitable if you hit it. But then it's not going to be like where if you hold it out, it'll get, the trend will continue. So we might have to be quicker on taking some profit. So I'm going to keep that in mind, but we will see how the market plays out. But watch those in the video. I have nothing in those. I'm going to keep an eye on those, like I said, Uber and then beyond. But as far as everything else, I still have some other companies that I want to look at. One of them is going to be SRNE. And now even in this one, it's the Biotech. They had a lot of news yesterday. It's still loading up there that they have a test that was blocked 100% of the virus. So they were a lot of good hype news was coming out on this, but we saw it at $4. I didn't grab it. Again, just like CODX, I know you could just use shares. Again, if you want to gamble it, you can, but I found something on the filings, which was a catch-22. The company has already filed a shelf offering, so pretty much at any moment they could dump about $1 billion of shares because they've already registered those shares to dump it on the market. But now that at the same time, that would also give them an incentive to let the price go a little higher. But I'm going to watch it. If it could come back down to those prices we saw it at, I'll consider it, but not going to really be in a rush. These are going to be very volatile. But in general, watch the rest of the biotechs like INO, CODX, or all those other ones, Myrna, Guild, every single one of those. It's going to be good. Even I think Abbott and Thermo Fisher got some updates too, but we've talked about it. It's still that biotech gold rush and it exists. So watch those. Watch XLF, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan. I think Wells Fargo had some decent July plays. So we'll see. The question is, how does that end of the day Powell news affect them? And then whatever Powell says, definitely bank stocks are going to, we should see them lead or lag tomorrow. So keep your eye for that. And then another one, Taiwan Semiconductors. They said I think they're making a $12 billion facility here in the States, but watch them. And even Intel, again, all of the chip makers, because one, you're going to have NVIDIA earnings. Like I said, we have to see if we're going to play it. But the key with Intel and TSM, I really like where they're at. But the chip makers and the negative Huawei news we saw, they might be both winners and loser mode right here, where they could either get clapped back by China or they could benefit off of any favorable stuff to U.S. chip makers. So watch them, like we said, booking, again, Apple and Microsoft, just in general, just to see now. I was kind of even, again, related to the chip makers, anything tech or escalation-wise. And if there is any escalation or anything negative with the Fed, it's just make sure you know where there's meat on the bone. Same thing even with Amazon. And even what I'm saying is watch the companies that both had their earnings, which one's guided down, which one's cut guidance, because now with the Fed, pretty much Powell is going to talk, but I'm operating under the notion that Powell has 3 months ahead of data. So these companies reported, Powell knows something, he's going to say something. So as more and more time comes into that next Fed meeting, a new round of expectations and guidance is going to come up. So I'm going to be watching out for that. So watch them. Walmart, again, they have their earnings. They ran up a little bit. They came down. I think there's going to be some room here, but it's going to be difficult. I need to check the premiums. I'm going to keep an eye on that. HD, you could watch McDonald's as a secondary win over that play, and then Uber and Booking, and then finally GLD. The prices were a little high. I'm waiting for that, again, the trifecta, but now even watch UUP. It's starting to edge up here, and if it has one of these little pops and breakouts, that could be important, but don't go too crazy on it. Watch TLT, but now with what's going on with the Fed, if we start watching the interest rate expectations, all of that stuff, keep your eye out for now HYG and LQD. So TLT will be related to it, but if anything, HYG and LQD are going to have the biggest direct Fed response to it. So this could be a good idea to flip some of these, or it could be an opportunity depending on how it moves. I'm going to watch, but I'm keeping an eye on it because, like I'm saying, with how we're setting up, I think TLT is going to be moving slow, and it's going to give us our opportunity here in the next quarter, I'd say. So the question is, though, when do you get it? And we don't want to jump the gun too early. So I'm thinking we could play HYG and LQD in the meantime until the trifecta really sets up. But if anything moves faster than expected, we'll be ready to go. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you're hydrated, healthy, ready to go. Make sure you post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining, and I need you to control the books and balances. You guys know what it is. Hopefully you didn't get too crushed by this May 15th expiration. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully your head is in the game, baby. Protection, protection, protection. Remember, it's only second quarter. You got the Fed, once in a lifetime things. Even the fact to see Powell on 60 Minutes. This is some crazy stuff, so stay alive, allocate, balance, everything. You know what it is. Go calm, don't force it. Control the FOMO demon. The cult loves you, I love you. We'll see you in the morning. Let's go!